Okay, I get the opportunity to make a very special project, and I'm so excited to bring you along on this one. It is going to take multiple firings and a really long time. You'll watch this video in, I don't know, 12, 15 minutes. It'll probably take me a full month to pull this together. But I had somebody reach out who wanted to know, she had seen that I can fuse soil into glass, and I do have an old video on doing that. It's the same kind of process as cremains, and she told me this beautiful story about her new son-in-law who recently made it into the U.S. Marine Corps, and part of the final challenge was climbing a mountain, and he got to the top of the mountain. He scooped up a piece of soil, or a handful of soil, and stuck it from the top of this mountain, stuck it in his pocket, and kept it. And she wanted to see if I could fuse it into something special for him. Okay, short detour, because I don't think I gave that the full respect that it deserves. When you're becoming a Marine, the final challenge here is called the Crucible, this 54-hour long trek and challenge to become a Marine here at the very end. And so this is a website that explains it, shows photos. I'll include a link in my video notes so that you can see what this looks like. But lots of challenges, a grueling, 54 hours, wow. And toward the end, or the last climb, is on the Reaper. Here's a photo of the guys who are climbing the Reaper, and at the very top is when you've completed the challenge and officially become a Marine. Really special. And so we talked a long time about what that might be for a dude, and agreed to doing a stand-up paperweight. So I have here LF227 paperweight form, and what we talked about was, she said, gosh, it would be cool if you could put some soil in the bottom of it, and maybe a red, white, and blue background, and an image that reflects the logo of the U.S. Marine Corps. And so good friend Henry at SS Glass Art, who I've talked about before, his beautiful water jets, they're on Etsy. I'll drop a link. I reached out to him and said, can you do that logo? And this is what he's done, and I think it's great. So I'm amazed at the detail that he was able to capture. She said she wanted the shadow of the logo, and so I think that we've nailed it here. And so what I'm going to do is, I've got some aventurine blue that I'm going to chop up, and I'm going to put in the upper left corner here, similar to a US flag, and then I'm going to cut strips of red and white and try to get stripes. Now this will be a little bit of a messy flag. It's not going to be perfect, but that's okay. And then I'm going to then maybe put a few stars in. We'll see. I'm going to fire that first as kind of the background base of this, and then I'll build from there. And so she is shipping me the soil, and I'll talk about the soil later. But for the first firing, I'm going to go ahead and build the background of this paperweight, and over several firings we're going to build this thing up and fill it up, and it's going to look wicked cool. So I'm going to go ahead and get my glass chopped up and cut up and load it in here, and then we'll take it to the next level. All right, let's see how this comes out. This could be a big fat loss, and I'll have to redo it. But as you saw, I put way too many stripes in here for an American flag, but it's an abstract. And I've loaded up the bottom with red because I think soil's going to cover that anyway, the top with white, just to kind of create some balance in here. I used all the scrap that I had cut up here. I've got the blue aventurine in here. And I don't know, let's do a full fuse and see how this turns out. Now the intent is that it spreads out and melts out and kind of creates this abstract flag shape in the bottom back of the mold, and then when it comes out, I'll build from there. I'll add the logo, I'll add some clear and the soil itself. And so I'm going to take this in for a good long full fuse with a long bubble squeeze so that it settles out nicely and all the air comes out, and I've got a nice American flag looking type puck when it comes out. Stay tuned. Okay, so she shipped me the soil and it has arrived, and let's see if you can see that down in there. So it is chunky. There's some real rocks in here. Now, this looks really dry, but it is not necessarily kiln dry, and I still am worried about organic material that can create too many bubbles if I were to try to fire this. So I've got just a large strainer here, and what I'm going to do is try to get some of this soil into the strainer, and because I don't want really large pieces. I've got a dry kiln shelf with nothing on it, and I'm just going to take this soil and sift quite a bit of the finer material right onto this shelf. And I have another kiln load going in with some other stuff, and so I'm going to fire this to a full fuse temperature. I'm pretty sure this is plenty. Maybe I'll do a little bit more just for safety's sake, or for good measure. But I'm going to fire this to full fuse so that if there is any organic material that is going to cause bubbles, it's going to do it on a full fuse when I don't have any glass, and I'm not going to have any, kind of eruptions of bubbles in glass. So now that I've got this dusted on the shelf, I'm going to put it in with a different load that I've got going in up to a full fuse. For me, I'm trying to think about the load that's going in. It'll probably be about 1475 for 15 or 20 minutes. Should be plenty. And then I will have what I know to be super dry powder. This is the same powder. This is the same technique that I use for cremains. So if you've seen my other cremains video, I pre-fire cremains in order to get the bubbles out so that I don't have bubbles in glass. I'm going to do the very same thing here with soil. Okay, so now that I have fired the soil and I feel like it's probably gassed off quite a lot, I am going to just dump it off. Should be nice and dry onto this sheet of paper. Ooh, it's a lot of dusty red soil here. I don't actually know where this is from. I guess I need to text her and ask her where in the country this is actually from. Okay, that's good enough. Yeah, that's some good red soil. Okay, so now I put it on this paper just so that I could kind of consolidate and get it into this cup. Okay, now, as a reminder, the intent was to create, kind of a version of an American flag, and then I have the U.S. Marine Corps logo that's going to go on top, and then we wanted to put some soil at the bottom. And so what I'm going to do, because I have another kiln load going in, which is just a contour fuse, but what I want to do is go ahead and kind of pre-trap some soil into glass so that it's just another element that I can add on later. You don't have to do it this way, but this is just the way that I'm choosing to do it. So there are a couple of projects that she wants with this soil, but I'm going to go ahead and take some. I'm just going to spread it over my glass, not too thick of a layer. Kind of even it out a little bit. Just going to cap it with another piece of clear, and then I'm going to fire it with this other kiln load that I got, and again, so that it'll just be an element that I can work directly into this paperweight. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the kiln. It'll go a contour fuse, but that should be enough to kind of seal this thing up, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, so now all the elements are starting to come together. I've got my primed mold. This is the piece that came out of that. I'm going to clean this up and put it back in there. And then here's my water jet that I am also going to clean up. And you can see how that would be placed, trying to make sure there's no glare, placed over that. And then now I have pre-fused some of the soil into just a little puck. And I don't know how I'm going to place this. I have decided that I don't want to obscure the logo too much if I don't have to. So I may now cut this up, trim this up, and see if I can put it, kind of off to the side here or something. So I'm going to play with that a little bit, and then show you what the next step is as I fill my mold. Okay, so what I've done is I did take that dirt piece and broke it up a little bit and put it down here in the bottom corner. I forgot to film that before I covered it up. And what I've covered it with here is billet. Now this is a clear slab of billet from Bullseye, and I just broke this up with a hammer. But what it does is, and I could have used like Tack scrap, but billet will just help eliminate bubbles. So I will have a clearer, cleaner piece. This is kind of an expensive route to go, but I like this for, you know, pieces like this, particularly this, you know, kind of higher end commission piece that I'm doing. So I'm going to put this in for a full fuse with a really long soak at the top to give a nice, first of all, bubble squeeze, like a long bubble squeeze on the way up. Even though I'm using billet, I still want to use a nice bubble squeeze on the way up. And then a nice long soak at the top. I'll probably fire this 1475 for maybe an hour or so. I'll think about that a little bit, so I won't commit to that. But I will fire this, and then once it pops out, I'll show you what the finished product looks like. Well, this piece had a high cry factor, and I am crying. Clearly, I got an epic big bubble, and I can only guess that when I put the piece back into the mold, I trapped a little bit of an air pocket, that it didn't sit quite right, because this, you know, looks like, based on this pattern, that it came all the way from the back and then bubbled up and destroyed my water jet cut, destroyed the look of my piece. It destroyed a heck of a lot of glass, because look how thick that is. I mean, this thing is so heavy, so lots of glass wasted. I suppose I might be able to, you know, chunk out the part that contains the dirt, and then the rest of this can become some sort of pot melt or something, but pretty disappointed. So we try again, because the client still wants a piece. So my next approach, I'm going to give her a call and talk it through with her. The other thing I'm not pleased with is you know, how ugly that logo got. So that wasn't probably going to work anyway. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to recreate the stars and stripes again. And then after that comes out of the mold, I probably won't even take it out of the mold, just given this experience. I'll just leave it in. And then put some dirt in, cap it with clear, do all that again. And then what I'm going to suggest is that we put the logo, because I do have another water jet, on the surface, and then do a tack fuse of the logo onto the surface. Then I won't lose the beauty of that logo. So stay tuned if you want to see how that goes. Okay, this piece is out of the kiln. Now there's quite a bit of texture left on this, and that's fine. That's what I wanted. I just wanted to get a good kind of tack or contour fuse on this. So now what I'm gonna do is put it back in the mold. I took it out and cleaned it up. I'm gonna put it back in the mold. Hopefully I don't have the same bubble issues, excuse me, as I got the last time. And I'm gonna put some soil here in the bottom, and then I'm gonna cover the whole thing in clear. They had also asked for some pieces with just red and yellow that had some soil in them. So I am approaching these pieces the same way that I do the cremains, and I just did a video on cremains, so you can go back and find that, which is to kind of do a contour fuse on some base pieces. Then I'm going to put the soil in, cap it with clear, and hopefully I get a nice encapsulation. All of that soil is trapped within the glass. I don't have any major bubbles. I'm using soil that I pre-fired just to kind of burn off any organic material. So I'm going to go ahead and assemble all of this and then put it in the kiln. Really long bubble soak on this, and a super long anneal, because this is going to be really considered kind of a slab. So I always post my video schedule in the video notes. Make sure that you know how to find your video notes on YouTube. If you need to Google it, do that. Or I even have a video way back where I'll post that to the top on how to find those. Okay, so I'll explain a little bit what you're seeing there. I just put the soil in without trapping it like I did the first time around, and it turns out just fine. You'll see that in the future. Here I'm putting out just little bitty chips of Tack and adding the soil to the Tack, and then I've put hairspray on all of them and let it dry so that it gets nice and solid on there, and I don't have soil dancing around and moving around as I'm trying to assemble these pieces. Then I use just a little bit of clear frit on top of the scarlet and gold pieces to create a little bit more stability. I put my Tecta piece in with the soil, and now I'm capping it with additional Tecta chunks. This is my favorite technique to minimize bubbles and get a nice clear layer on top that traps, in this case, soil, or cremains works this way as well. Okay, I'm pretty excited to share this with you. I think it turned out really well, and so you can see the soil at the bottom. Now the flag is kind of organic shaped because that's about as good as I can get. There is one large bubble in the middle, but it's kind of deep in. There's some other bubbles in there that get trapped. That's just the nature of glass. So here is the water jet. Now this one is a smaller one. This is the only one I've got. I can do that, you know, tack it into the lower right. I could do it kind of right in the middle. I could do it on the upper right. I could do it over the blue. I kind of like the lower right, but it's going to cover up a little bit of that soil. And so, you know, maybe just centered in the right there. I'm so excited at how these turned out. So here is this piece with the emblem tack fused to the front, and I ground the bottom down so it sits really nice and flat, and it's just amazing. It's super shiny and beautiful. You can see that soil down there. She had also asked for soil in some pieces, some crosses and some hearts, and I am surprising her with this pendant and also a money clip. So she doesn't know those are coming, but I think that she intends to use the crosses and the hearts as just pocket hearts, pocket cross, carry around with you. But I had this one single copper looking or bronze looking bale. Don't ask me where I got this because they're sold out of them. But I had one, and so I thought that that was a perfect match in terms of color for that soil that's in there. Can you see that piece in there? So I'm gonna go take some pictures of these and show you what the final photos look like.